The rain lashed against the panoramic windows of Kim Soo-Hyun's Seoul penthouse, mirroring the storm raging inside him. His 5-year-old son, Ji-hoon, lay pale and listless in a sterile, white room that resembled a high-tech hospital suite more than a child's bedroom. Ji-hoon suffered from a rare and aggressive form of mitochondrial disease, robbing him of energy and vitality with terrifying speed. Kim Soo-Hyun, the celebrated actor, a name synonymous with success and effortless charm, was a broken man. He had emptied his bank accounts, liquidated assets, and relentlessly pursued every cutting-edge treatment, every experimental therapy, every whispered possibility from the furthest corners of the globe. He had thrown fortunes at the problem, turning his life into a relentless quest to save his son. The world saw Kim Soo-Hyun, the invincible star. Only a handful knew the reality, a desperate father teetering on the edge of despair. His opulent apartment, usually buzzing with the efficient choreography of personal assistants and security, felt eerily silent. The only constant presence, besides the rotating team of nurses, was Mrs. Park, the housekeeper. A woman of quiet dignity, with eyes that seemed to hold the wisdom of generations, she had been with the family for years, a silent observer of their triumphs and now, their agonizing ordeal. Soo-Hyun paced outside Ji-hoon's room, the rhythmic click of his expensive leather shoes against the marble floor a counterpoint to the beeping of the medical equipment inside. He ran a hand through his already disheveled hair. Another specialist had just left, shaking his head, offering platitudes about quality of life and making memories. Soo-Hyun hated those phrases. They were veiled admissions of defeat. Mr. Kim, Mrs. Park's voice, soft but firm, cut through his thoughts. He turned, his face etched with exhaustion. Mrs. Park, he acknowledged, his voice barely a whisper. Is Ji-hoon all right? He's resting, sir. The nurse gave him his medication. But I'm worried about you. You haven't slept properly in weeks. Soo-Hyun scoffed. Sleep is a luxury I can't afford, Mrs. Park. Every minute counts. But what good will you be to Ji-hoon if you collapse, sir? You need to take care of yourself, too. He ignored her, his gaze fixed on the closed door of his son's room. He was drowning in a sea of medical jargon, conflicting opinions, and dwindling hope. He had consulted the best doctors in the world, flown Ji-hoon to clinics in Switzerland, Japan, and the United States. He had even explored unproven therapies, desperate for a miracle. Each treatment offered a sliver of hope, only to be cruelly snatched away. The security team, led by the stoic and ever-vigilant Mr. Choi, maintained a discreet presence, ensuring Soo-Hyun's privacy and Ji-hoon's safety. Mr. Choi, a former Special Forces operative, was fiercely loyal and protective. He had personally vetted every doctor, every therapist, every visitor who came near Ji-hoon. He was Soo-Hyun's rock, a silent guardian in this desperate time. One evening, Soo-Hyun was reviewing Ji-hoon's medical records, his eyes burning with fatigue. He had just received another astronomical bill for an experimental gene therapy that had shown marginal results. He felt a surge of anger and frustration. He was throwing money into a bottomless pit, and his son was still fading away. He threw the tablet onto the table, the sound echoing in the silent apartment. It's useless, he roared, his voice cracking with despair. All of it. I'm paying these people fortunes, and they can't do anything. Mrs. Park, who had been quietly preparing tea, flinched at his outburst. She approached him cautiously, her eyes filled with concern. Mr. Kim, she said gently, I understand your pain. But perhaps you were looking in the wrong places. Soo-Hyun stared at her, incredulous. What are you talking about, Mrs. Park? I've consulted the best doctors in the world. The doctors are doing their best, sir. But sometimes, the answer is not in a textbook or a laboratory. Sometimes, the answer is simpler. He dismissed her words, attributing them to the well-meaning but ultimately naive sentiments of an older woman, He thanked her for the tea and retreated back to his study, determined to find another lead, another potential cure. Days turned into weeks, and Ji-hoon's condition continued to deteriorate. Soo-Hyun became increasingly withdrawn, consumed by his relentless search for a solution. He barely ate, barely slept, his world shrinking to the confines of his son's sick room and the endless stream of medical reports. One afternoon, Mrs. Park was cleaning Ji-hoon's room while the boy was asleep. She noticed something unusual. The nurse on duty, a young woman named Ms. Lee, was acting strangely. She seemed nervous and fidgety, avoiding eye contact. Mrs. Park had a keen eye for detail, honed by years of observing human behavior. She watched Ms. Lee carefully. She saw her administer Ji-hoon's medication, but something about the way she did it felt off. She noticed Ms. Lee frequently checking her phone and whispering into it when she thought no one was watching. Mrs. Park's suspicion grew. She remembered a conversation she had overheard between Soo-Hyun and Mr. Choi about the possibility of sabotage, a desperate attempt by a rival company to exploit Soo-Hyun's vulnerability. It seemed far-fetched, but in this world of cutthroat competition, anything was possible. She decided to investigate. While Ms. Lee was distracted, Mrs. Park discreetly examined the medication vials. She noticed that the labels were slightly different from the ones she had seen before. The font was a different size, and the expiration date seemed smudged. She knew she had to act quickly. She couldn't be sure, but she suspected that Ms. Lee was not administering the correct medication to Ji-hoon. She had to tell Soo-Hyun, but she knew he would dismiss her concerns as the ramblings of an old woman. She needed proof. She remembered Mr. Choi's unwavering loyalty and his meticulous attention to detail. She decided to confide in him. That evening, after Ms. Lee's shift ended, Mrs. Park approached Mr. Choi. She told him about her suspicions, showing him the discrepancies she had noticed on the medication vials. Mr. Choi listened intently, his face impassive. He knew Mrs. Park was a trustworthy and observant woman. He couldn't dismiss her concerns, especially given the high stakes. He immediately launched an investigation. He reviewed the security footage, meticulously examining Ms. Lee's movements. He discovered that she had been meeting with a suspicious individual in a secluded corner of the building. He also found evidence that she had been tampering with Ji-hoon's medication. He presented his findings to Soo-Hyun. At first, Soo-Hyun was skeptical. He couldn't believe that someone would stoop so low as to harm his son. But the evidence was undeniable. He confronted Ms. Lee, who eventually confessed. She admitted that she had been bribed by a rival entertainment company to sabotage Ji-hoon's treatment, hoping to exploit Soo-Hyun's emotional distress and damage his career. Soo-Hyun was devastated. He had been so focused on finding a cure that he had failed to see the danger lurking right under his nose. He had trusted the wrong people and put his son's life at risk. He immediately fired Ms. Lee and contacted the authorities. He also tightened security around Ji-hoon, ensuring that only trusted individuals had access to him. But the damage was done. Ji-hoon's condition had worsened due to the incorrect medication. He was weaker than ever, his tiny body struggling to fight the disease. Soo-Hyun felt a wave of guilt wash over him. He had paid fortunes to cure his son, but he had overlooked the simple truth that sometimes, the greatest threats come from within. He sat by Ji-hoon's bedside, holding his hand, whispering words of love and encouragement. He realized that all the money in the world couldn't buy him what he truly wanted, his son's health and happiness. He looked at Mrs. Park, who was standing quietly in the corner, her eyes filled with compassion. He realized that she had been right all along. Sometimes, the answer is simpler. Sometimes, the greatest strength comes from the most unexpected places. He thanked Mrs. Park for her vigilance and her unwavering loyalty. He knew that she had saved Ji-hoon's life, not with money or medicine, but with her keen observation and her unwavering dedication. But the story doesn't end there. While the immediate threat was neutralized, Ji-hoon's condition remained critical. Soo-Hyun, however, had a shift in perspective. He realized that the relentless pursuit of experimental cures had blinded him to other possibilities. He remembered a conversation he had years ago with his own grandfather, a renowned herbalist, about the power of traditional Korean medicine. He had dismissed it at the time, blinded by the allure of modern science. But now, he was willing to explore any avenue that might offer hope. He contacted his grandfather's former apprentice, a reclusive herbalist living in the mountains. The herbalist, a wizened old woman named Madame Choi, agreed to examine Ji-hoon. Madame Choi arrived at Soo-Hyun's penthouse, her presence a stark contrast to the sterile environment. She examined Ji-hoon with gentle hands, her eyes closed, as if listening to his body. After a long silence, she spoke. "The boy's energy is weak," she said, her voice raspy. "His body is out of balance. The modern medicines are fighting the symptoms, but they are not addressing the root cause." She prescribed a regimen of herbal remedies and acupuncture, tailored specifically to Ji-hoon's condition. Soo-Hyun, desperate for any glimmer of hope, followed her instructions meticulously. Slowly, gradually, Ji-hoon began to improve. His energy levels increased, his color returned, and he started to eat again. The doctors were astonished. They couldn't explain the improvement, attributing it to a spontaneous remission. But Soo-Hyun knew the truth. It was Madame Choi's traditional medicine that had saved his son. It wasn't the fortunes he had spent on experimental therapies, but the simple wisdom of nature. He realized that he had been so focused on finding a quick fix, a miracle cure, that he had overlooked the power of holistic healing. He had been so blinded by his wealth and his status that he had failed to see the value of traditional knowledge. He also realized the profound impact of Mrs. Park's intuition. She had the wisdom and observation skills that all the doctors and specialists missed. Months later, Ji-hoon was thriving. He was still living with the disease, but he was managing it with a combination of modern medicine and traditional remedies. He was a happy, energetic boy, full of life. Soo-Hyun had learned a valuable lesson. He had learned that money can't buy everything, that true wealth lies in health and happiness, and that sometimes, the greatest wisdom comes from the most unexpected sources. He also learned the importance of listening to his gut, and trusting the people who truly cared for his son. He publicly acknowledged Mrs. Park's role in saving Ji-hoon's life, showering her with gratitude and recognition. He also became a vocal advocate for traditional Korean medicine, using his platform to promote its benefits and to challenge the dominance of Western medicine. The experience transformed him. He became less obsessed with his career and more focused on his family. He spent more time with Ji-hoon, playing games, reading stories, and simply enjoying each other's company. He also became a more humble and compassionate person. He realized that he was not invincible, that he was just a man, vulnerable and flawed, like everyone else. The film that followed this period of his life, a poignant drama about a father's unwavering love for his son, became his most critically acclaimed work. Many believe the raw emotion he portrayed stemmed directly from his real-life experiences. He dedicated the film to Ji-hoon and Mrs. Park, the two people who had taught him the true meaning of life. The truth, as Mrs. Park had discovered, wasn't about the millions spent, but about the love, loyalty, and the quiet wisdom that often goes unnoticed. Kim Soo-Hyun had paid fortunes, but it was Mrs. Park's simple act of observation and Madame Choi's ancient knowledge that ultimately saved his son, revealing a truth far more valuable than any amount of money could ever buy. The rain still fell occasionally against the penthouse windows, but now, it sounded like a gentle lullaby, a reminder of the storm they had weathered and the peace they had finally found. The truth was out, and in its wake, came healing. The years that followed were a testament to the enduring power of love and the importance of embracing both modern and traditional approaches to healing. Soo-Hyun, forever changed by his experience, dedicated a significant portion of his wealth to establishing a foundation that funded research into both mitochondrial disease and the efficacy of traditional Korean medicine. He aimed to bridge the gap between the two worlds, fostering collaboration and understanding. He also made sure that Mrs. Park was taken care of for life. He built her a small house in the countryside, a place where she could retire in peace and tranquility. He visited her often, seeking her advice and sharing stories about Ji-Hoon. She remained his confidant, his guiding light, a constant reminder of the simple truths that had saved his family. Mr. Choi, ever vigilant, remained Soo-Hyun's head of security. But their relationship evolved beyond professional boundaries. Soo-Hyun recognized Mr. Choi's unwavering loyalty and his keen intellect. He started involving him in business decisions, valuing his perspective and his unwavering honesty. Mr. Choi, in turn, became more than just a security guard. He became a trusted advisor and a loyal friend. Ji-Hoon grew into a bright and inquisitive young man. He understood the sacrifices his father had made for him, and he was determined to make the most of his life. He excelled in school, showing a particular aptitude for science. He was fascinated by the workings of the human body and the mysteries of disease. He dreamed of becoming a doctor, dedicating his life to finding cures for illnesses that plagued humanity. Soo-Hyun, watching his son thrive, felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. He had faced his darkest fears and emerged stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. He had learned that true strength lies not in wealth or fame, but in love, loyalty, and the unwavering pursuit of hope. One day, Ji-Hoon came to Soo-Hyun with an idea. He wanted to travel to the mountains to visit Madame Choi. He had heard stories about her wisdom and her healing powers, and he wanted to learn from her. Soo-Hyun smiled. He knew that this was a sign that Ji-Hoon was embracing his heritage and his unique journey. He arranged for them to visit Madame Choi together. The visit was transformative for Ji-Hoon. He spent hours listening to Madame Choi's stories, learning about the ancient traditions of Korean medicine. He was fascinated by her deep understanding of the human body and her ability to heal with natural remedies. Madame Choi, in turn, was impressed by Ji-Hoon's intelligence and his compassion. She saw in him a potential successor, someone who could carry on her legacy and continue to heal the world. Before they left, Madame Choi gave Ji-Hoon a small, intricately carved wooden box. "This box contains the secrets of my healing practice," she said. "Use them wisely, and always remember that true healing comes from the heart." Ji-Hoon treasured the box, keeping it close to him always. He continued to study science, but he also immersed himself in the study of traditional Korean medicine. He learned about herbs, acupuncture, and the principles of energy balance. Years later, Ji-Hoon became a doctor, specializing in mitochondrial disease. He combined his knowledge of modern medicine with the ancient wisdom he had learned from Madame Choi, creating a unique and holistic approach to healing. He opened a clinic that offered both conventional treatments and traditional Korean remedies. He treated patients from all over the world, helping them to manage their symptoms and improve their quality of life. He never forgot the sacrifices his father had made for him, and he was determined to honor his legacy. He continued to support the foundation that Soo-Hyun had established, funding research into both mitochondrial disease and traditional Korean medicine. Soo-Hyun, watching his son follow his passion, felt an overwhelming sense of pride. He had paid fortunes to cure his son, but it was Ji-Hoon's own dedication and his embrace of both modern and traditional approaches that had ultimately led to his success. The story of Kim Soo-Hyun and his son became a legend, a testament to the power of love, the importance of hope, and the enduring wisdom of tradition. It was a story that inspired countless people to embrace their own unique journeys and to never give up on the pursuit of healing. And it all started with a desperate father, a keen-eyed housekeeper, and a truth that was hidden in plain sight. The truth that sometimes, the most valuable things in life are not those that can be bought with money, but those that are earned through love, loyalty, and an unwavering belief in the power of the human spirit. and the quiet wisdom of a housekeeper who saw what others missed. Even in his later years, Soo-Hyun never forgot the lessons he had learned. He continued to advocate for those who were suffering, using his voice and his influence to make a difference in the world. He remained a humble and compassionate man, always grateful for the blessings he had received. He understood that his fame and fortune were fleeting, but that the love he shared with his son and the impact he had on the lives of others would endure forever. He often told Ji-hoon, "The greatest role I ever played was being your father." And when his time came, he passed away peacefully, surrounded by his loved ones. Ji-hoon, holding his father's hand, whispered words of gratitude and love. He knew that his father's legacy would live on, not just in his films and his philanthropy, but in the hearts of all those who had been touched by his story. The wooden box that Madame Choi had given Ji-hoon remained a treasured possession, passed down through generations, a reminder of the power of tradition and the importance of embracing both the old and the new. And so, the story of Kim Soo-Hyun and his son became a timeless tale, a testament to the enduring power of love, hope, and the unwavering pursuit of healing, reminding everyone that even in the darkest of times, a single spark of truth can illuminate the path to a brighter future. And sometimes, that spark comes from the most unexpected place, the quiet wisdom of a housekeeper who saw what others missed. The end. Years after Kim Soo-Hyun's passing, Ji-hoon, now a renowned physician and a leading figure in integrative medicine, stood before a packed auditorium at a global medical conference in Geneva. He was there to present his groundbreaking research on the synergistic effects of combining traditional Korean medicine with cutting-edge gene therapy in treating mitochondrial disorders. The audience was a mix of skeptical traditionalists, eager innovators, and families desperately seeking hope for their loved ones. Ji-hoon began his presentation, not with complex scientific data, but with a story. He recounted his own childhood battle with the disease, the desperate measures his father took, and the pivotal role Mrs. Park, the housekeeper, played in uncovering the truth that ultimately saved his life. He spoke of Madame Choi's wisdom, the ancient remedies that had restored his vitality, and the profound impact of his father's unwavering love. He displayed a picture of Mrs. Park, a serene smile gracing her aged face. She had passed away a few years prior, but her memory lived on, a constant inspiration to Ji-hoon. He also showed a photo of his father, Kim Soo-Hyun, the beloved actor, but more importantly, a devoted father who had dared to challenge conventional wisdom. "My father," Ji-hoon said, his voice filled with emotion, "paid fortunes to cure me. He scoured the globe, seeking the most advanced treatments. But it was Mrs. Park, with her quiet observation and unwavering loyalty, who discovered the truth that saved my life. It was Madame Choi, with her ancient knowledge, who restored my health. And it was my father's love that gave me the strength to fight." He then transitioned into the scientific data, meticulously presenting the evidence supporting his research. He demonstrated how specific herbal compounds could enhance the efficacy of gene therapy, reducing side effects and improving long-term outcomes. He showed how acupuncture could stimulate mitochondrial function, restoring energy and vitality to damaged cells. His presentation was met with a standing ovation. Even the most skeptical members of the audience were swayed by his compelling story and his rigorous scientific evidence. Ji-hoon had successfully bridged the gap between tradition and innovation, offering a new paradigm for treating complex diseases. After the conference, Ji-hoon was approached by a young woman, her eyes filled with tears. She introduced herself as the granddaughter of Ms. Lee, the nurse who had attempted to sabotage his treatment years ago. She explained that her grandmother had lived with immense guilt and shame for her actions, but had ultimately found redemption by dedicating her life to caring for the sick and elderly. The granddaughter handed Ji-hoon a letter from Ms. Lee, written shortly before her death. In the letter, Ms. Lee expressed her deepest remorse for her actions and thanked Ji-hoon for his forgiveness. She wrote that witnessing his success and his dedication to healing had given her a sense of peace in her final days. Ji-hoon was deeply moved by the letter. He realized that even those who had caused him harm could find redemption and contribute to the greater good. He forgave Ms. Lee completely, recognizing that her actions were a product of her own vulnerabilities and insecurities. He invited the granddaughter to join his research team, offering her an opportunity to contribute to his work and to honor her grandmother's memory. The granddaughter accepted, eager to use her skills to help others and to atone for her grandmother's mistakes. Ji-hoon's work continued to flourish. His clinic became a beacon of hope for patients from all over the world. He trained a new generation of doctors and healers, instilling in them the importance of compassion, empathy, and a willingness to embrace both tradition and innovation. He never forgot the lessons he had learned from his father, Mrs. Park, and Madame Choi. He continued to honor their memory by living a life of purpose and service. He understood that true healing was not just about curing disease, but about restoring wholeness and harmony to the body, mind, and spirit. Years later, Ji-hoon stood by his own son's bedside, reading him a story. His son, named Soo-Hyun in honor of his grandfather, was healthy and vibrant, a testament to the power of love, hope, and the unwavering pursuit of healing. As he closed the book, Ji-hoon looked out the window at the Seoul skyline, the city lights twinkling like stars. He thought of his father, Mrs. Park, and Madame Choi, and he smiled. He knew that their legacy would live on, not just in his own life, but in the lives of all those who had been touched by their story. The story of Kim Soo-Hyun, who paid fortunes to cure his son, but ultimately discovered that the greatest treasures in life are those that cannot be bought with money, love, loyalty, and the quiet wisdom that guides us on our path. And the enduring power of a housekeeper's truth. The end. The legacy of Kim Soo-Hyun, etched not just in celluloid but in the annals of medical history, continued to ripple through generations. Ji-hoon, having conquered his own health battles and established a revolutionary approach to medicine, found himself increasingly drawn to preventative care. He believed that while curing disease was paramount, preventing it in the first place was a far greater victory. He began to delve deeper into the environmental factors that contributed to mitochondrial dysfunction and other chronic illnesses. He studied the impact of pollution, processed foods, and sedentary lifestyles on cellular health. He realized that his father's wealth, while instrumental in accessing treatment, had also shielded him from some of the harsh realities faced by those less privileged. Inspired by Mrs. Park's humble origins and her connection to nature, Ji-hoon embarked on a mission to promote holistic wellness in underserved communities. He established free clinics in rural areas, offering education on nutrition, exercise, and stress management. He partnered with local farmers to promote sustainable agriculture and provide access to fresh, organic produce. He even revisited the abandoned ginseng farm, the site of his childhood illness. He spearheaded a project to revitalize the land, transforming it into a community garden and a center for traditional Korean healing practices. He invited Madame Choi's descendants to share their knowledge of herbal remedies and acupuncture, ensuring that their ancient wisdom would be preserved for future generations. Mr. Choi, now retired but still fiercely loyal, became a regular volunteer at the community garden. He used his security expertise to protect the crops from pests and vandals, and he shared stories of Kim Soo-Hyun's generosity and compassion with the local residents. He had become a living embodiment of Soo-Hyun's enduring spirit. One day, while working in the garden, Ji-hoon noticed a young boy coughing uncontrollably. The boy's parents, struggling to make ends meet, had been forced to move to the area after losing their jobs in the city. They were unable to afford proper medical care, and the boy's condition was rapidly deteriorating. Ji-hoon immediately recognized the symptoms of a rare respiratory illness linked to environmental toxins. He arranged for the boy to be admitted to his clinic in Seoul, where he received the best possible care. He also provided financial assistance to the boy's family, helping them to rebuild their lives. The boy made a full recovery, thanks to Ji-hoon's expertise and the unwavering support of the community. His story became a symbol of hope, inspiring others to take action and improve their own health and well-being. Ji-hoon realized that his father's legacy was not just about curing disease, but about creating a world where everyone had the opportunity to thrive. He dedicated the rest of his life to this mission, using his wealth, his knowledge, and his influence to make a positive impact on the lives of others. He established a global network of wellness centers, offering affordable and accessible healthcare to underserved communities around the world. He funded research into the environmental causes of disease, advocating for policies that protected public health. He became a vocal advocate for social justice, using his platform to raise awareness about the inequalities that plagued society. His son, Soo-Hyun, followed in his footsteps, becoming a doctor and joining his father's mission. He brought a fresh perspective to the work, using technology and social media to reach a wider audience. He developed innovative apps and online programs that empowered people to take control of their own health. Together, Ji-hoon and Soo-Hyun continued to build upon Kim Soo-hyun's legacy, creating a world where everyone had the opportunity to live a long, healthy, and fulfilling life. They understood that true wealth was not measured in dollars and cents, but in the impact one had on the lives of others. Even in his twilight years, Ji-hoon never forgot the lessons he had learned from Mrs. Park. He often visited her gravesite, paying tribute to the woman who had saved his life. He knew that her quiet wisdom and unwavering loyalty had been the key to unlocking the truth that had eluded so many others. He also never forgot the sacrifices his father had made for him. He continued to watch his films, marveling at his talent and his charisma. But he knew that his father's greatest role had been that of a loving and devoted father. As he reflected on his life, Ji-hoon realized that the story of Kim Soo-hyun was not just about a wealthy actor who paid fortunes to cure his son. It was about the power of love, the importance of hope, and the enduring wisdom of tradition. It was about the quiet strength of a housekeeper who saw what others missed. It was about the transformative impact of a community that came together to support one another. And it was about the enduring legacy of a family that dared to challenge conventional wisdom and create a better world for all. A world where health and well-being were not just privileges for the wealthy, but fundamental rights for all. A world where the wisdom of the past was combined with the innovation of the future. A world where everyone had the opportunity to live a long, healthy, and fulfilling life. The story of Kim Soo-hyun, Ji-hoon, and Mrs. Park continued to be told, inspiring Jenner. With the sabotage exposed and the guilty nurse arrested, Soo-hyun felt the weight of guilt press heavily on his chest. He had trusted science, and he still did, but he had placed blind faith in systems that could be manipulated. Mrs. Park didn't say, "I told you so." She simply brewed another batch of her herbal tea, carefully balanced between tradition and hope. And this time, Soo-hyun didn't resist. He brought in a medical herbalist to collaborate with Ji-hoon's doctors. Together, they blended conventional and traditional treatments. It wasn't an overnight miracle, but Ji-hoon began to respond. Slowly. Stronger. Clearer. A bit more laughter each week. Within a year, the boy who once lay motionless now ran barefoot through the garden with a butterfly net, squealing in delight. And Soo-hyun? He had learned to laugh again. He founded a research institute not just for advanced medicine, but one that studied the synergy between ancestral knowledge and modern science. He named it after his son. But he made sure that in every press release, every brochure, one name always appeared alongside his. Inspired by the wisdom of Mrs. Park. And in interviews, when asked what changed his life, he would always answer, "I spent millions chasing cures, but the truth was already in my house, quietly sweeping the floor, waiting for someone to believe her."